Should I do it in my big mug? The big mug, tea kit. I use the same mug every single day. I used to have this Mickey Mouse mug at home, and I used to have a pre-workout in it every day, and then I dropped it and it cracked, and now it just seeks through. And I feel like training hasn't been the same since I can't get that kick. It's like there was a psychological edge in drinking out of the Mickey Mouse cup. Anyway, so I got 5150. I found this in my drawer. Do you remember this guy? You wouldn't remember this guy. No, yeah, no. I found that sitting in my drawer, and I'm like, oh, we still have that. Cool. It's a little bit fucked up because it's like 400 milligrams of caffeine, so that's why I did like a third of a scoop. So I do a third of a scoop of a pre, just because I find it's a little bit of a bell curve with the caffeination, and I just add the additional sip malate. So I was using the pre-pump by Sup Needs as well, which I still do, but I find I get most benefit out of the citrulline malate, so I don't really want to waste it considering we're getting towards the bottom of it. Yeah, that's pretty much that, isn't it? We're going to train pull at Al's gym. I had a coffee like 2 hours ago, so cheers.
And then you've got...
Oh, that'll be for later. That's working fuel. You get in the car because it looks like a cool car. See you, dude. Alright, so obviously completed the check-in this morning for Luke, which is like check-in 11. So I had the lowest weight today, which was 89.9. I couldn't quite crack 90. And then we had an escalation in androgens last week, which resulted in it being even more difficult to crack 90. But after a low day yesterday, we're sweet. So I am training at Al's gym in Campbellfield, Melbourne, Australia. The reason I've chosen to train at Al's gym, so I'm obviously training at Equilibrium in South Morang, and Al's gym I'll split the two. I went to Al's gym for a casual a couple of weeks ago, and I found it was a really good bodybuilding vibe, nice and quiet, some really good equipment, so I thought why not, especially for the upcoming push, just to sort of keep the drive alive. And it has been very nice to be back in a bodybuilder-esque gym. Some really good pieces, especially for legs, which a couple of pieces we'll run you through today for the back. And it's really reignited the fire. I think last week Luke told me to deload, and I said, absolutely not this week, brother. we'll kick on, and I'll let you know if anything deteriorates, and it hasn't. So should be a good sesh. Rest day yesterday. A little bit of pre in, 1 meal down. Would have liked 2. Would have liked a little bit more water in, but we had some. We had the coaching app for maintenance a couple of hours this morning, so we thought, well, that's down for maintenance, and we can't do check-ins. We'll get the session in. So looking forward to it. And as I will always say, questions are welcome. Do this T-bar row and pullovers, yeah. In the day here. So this is actually technically my first real back session at Al's. I was typically doing a single arm iliac row, so on the bench at the cable station, because we had limited equipment over at EQ, but now I am having to play around to see what I like best. I haven't done underhand pull down with a strap in a very long time. Can you even do it? Fuck, that was harder than I thought. So much easier with a strap. How the lines on my forehead. Can you tell the Botox is worn off? Sherry would be so disappointed in me. This phase out for the week up until Monday. A better idea of which shows we actually want to do. I don't like how it gets heavier as you get to the shorter position of the movement compared to like a Watson T-bar row where it's a little bit more of a drop off. And obviously just the way that machine moves is superior. In terms of chest supported T-bar rows, I don't think I've used a whole lot. I reckon I've just used the ProFlex, assuming this is the ProFlex. I wouldn't even know. and the Watson. So, ooh, I lie, I've used some old school ones. I usually do log. I'm nervous with this set. I might need music. That killed me. Oh, no, no. I can't be fuck loading that. Next. Fuck. Alright. I do still have a mild struggle with anything which requires me to brace my core through movements. Funnily enough, pullovers are probably the most difficult, but we're getting there, and the machine has made it a lot nicer. This is heavier than I think I did last week. Fucked my hernia. Well, I don't have a hernia anymore, but that region. Yeah. So after this session, we're going to get into what I've been doing across, I guess, the past 9 to 10 months. Been a little bit quiet. Obviously, had intentions of competing 2022, didn't make it. Had intentions of competing end of last year. Circumstances changed, which I have outlined. I've also gone over what I've been doing in regards to PEDs, what I will be doing in regards to PEDs, as well as my blood work and the analysis of them. So stay tuned. You cropped the shit out of this, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, thank fuck. Right, thank you for tuning into that pool session. So I thought I'd share a little bit of an update here, something that I don't typically do. This being I think my first ever vlog. Maybe I did one like back when I competed in 2019, which was pretty rough, but first formal vlog. Thought it was a good opportunity to share where I'm at, go over some blood work, go over what my plans are for the future. So obviously at the start of 2023, around April, I had full intentions of competing in the PCA, one of the PCA shows in Phuket at the end of last year. But as those who know me may be aware, I had to get an emergency hernia removal from the umbilical. So what that resulted in was a little bit of time off training. So I think I took about 6 to 8 weeks off training. I did utilize BPC 157 and TB 500, which were incredibly efficacious with the recovery. While I say I had 6 to 8 weeks off, I probably ended up having 3 to 4 actual weeks off the gym, probably 6 to 8 weeks before I established momentum again. And then upon getting better from that hernia operation, I got pretty severe food poisoning. So I was on the back foot. Went through the next few months of trying to just get myself back in order. Obviously, I put on a little bit of weight. I think I was up to about 95, 96 kilos. Had lost a lot of tissue. So throughout this phase, I was on testosterone replacement therapy, solo, 110 milligrams per week. And come December, when I was at the shows with Trey in Brisbane, alongside the other clients, but Trey in particular being at the IFBB show, and obviously being a little bit more involved living with him for the week, I realized I had to do something about it. So my next step was to reach out to a coach. So it's something which I actually haven't announced publicly. So obviously I've had a number of coaches and have good things to say about almost all of those coaches. In particular, previous coach Aaron, nothing but good things to say about him. But obviously I just wanted a change of scenery moving into this phase of my bodybuilding journey. And I decided to employ the services of Luke Miller from No Switch. And the reason I chose to do that is because I had collaborated with Luke a number of times throughout the course of 2023, met him at the start of 2023 in Dubai, and really liked what he was about. And I also wanted someone where I didn't question them. I didn't really want a huge relationship with the coach. Like I did want a relationship, but I didn't want to get too friendly because I knew that that's when I started to become doubtful, ask too many questions. That's not the position I want to be in. I just want to remove all the thinking. And Luke's been great. So I started with him around the back end of November. So we're coming towards the end of the wrap up of this deficit phase, about week 11. So this morning I was 89.9 kilograms. You will see the current photos as well as the beginning photos. So not too proud of the beginning photos, but that is what happens. I'm sure plenty of us have been in this position, and it's important that we recognize that this is part of the journey. So throughout this phase, we went from around 96.5 kilos to 89.9. I think the lowest the calories got were around that 2100 for the last couple of weeks. Been absolutely ravenous. Cardio got up to about 5 times 40 as well. And in terms of androgenic usage, we were at 175 milligrams testosterone, 100 mastron, and 3 units of growth hormone. And I believe, I don't believe, we did deploy 20 micrograms of Clen for about 4 to 5 weeks there. So the idea here was to give a modified cruise, sort of put us in a position where we have a slightly more androgenic environment or anabolic environment, whatever you want to consider it, while being able to sustain health metrics, which is pretty well what we've done, because I'm going to break down my bloods. Thyroid aside, the best bloods I'd ever had or have had in at least the last 5 years. So the only reason I actually realized that the thyroid was a little bit off, which could be a result of being towards the tail end of this deficit phase, as well as potentially through the deployment of growth hormone, is because this morning I did compare them to my previous bloods, which I had, not my previous bloods, some bloods that I actually had in 2022, because I've just compared a few different sets, and I found that my fasting T4 was around 3 points up and my fasting T3 was around 1 point up. So without further ado, I'll run you through the bloods before running you through what is next. All right, so like I mentioned, the fasting T4 and T3, as well as TSH. So TSH sitting at 2.86. It has sat higher than that before coming out of my first show in 2019. But ultimately, I was quite happy that these were in range, because it's something that I hadn't checked for since 2022 in April, actually. So I wasn't really nervous for this, because I know it's quite an easy fix if there were issues here. But I was nervous because I thought that things may have potentially gotten worse, considering I'd had a little bit of weight gain followed by a substantial weight loss. But nonetheless, nothing to really be concerned about here, of course. Then we move into my electrolytes and renal function. So electrolytes and renal function, anyone who's worked with me knows that I place a huge emphasis on the renal function, because a lot of individuals neglect it. So I've never had issues with blood pressure, which obviously is going to support the overall kidney function and results. But this was the best results I've had in some time. So my creatinine sat at 106, meaning my EGFR, which is via calculation of the creatinine against age and body weight, was 81, which means the kidneys are in the best shape that they've been in for upwards of 5 years. To be honest, maybe upwards of close to 10. I think I've had bloods from when I was 21, completely natural, and my creatinine was sitting a little bit higher, and as a result, my EGFR a little bit lower. But obviously liver enzymes as well, as you will see, really great there. Obviously you can see a skewing in creatinine, AST, ALT from heavy weight training, but in this instance, they are both sitting down as well. I did have a rest day the day before the blood, so this obviously supported the case, which I was pretty happy with as well. But just for reference as well, I am taking a half serve of kidney stack by supplement needs, as well as a half serve of liver stack, amongst other supplements, which I will go through towards the end. So as you can see, 51.1 testosterone and free testosterone 1698. So this tells me that the mastron may have in fact been testosterone, okay? Because that is a little bit above the range which I really would have liked to have seen for this TRT phase. Unfortunately, that is something we're gonna have to deal with. It's not a health problem, but it would have been nice to know that I was at the baseline that I wanted to be. As a result, it resulted in a high level of estrogen at 352 picomoles a liter, okay? So with that, that's obviously elevated. A lot of individuals say this puts us in a position where we are gonna experience side effects. For myself, I don't really get side effects from elevations in estrogen outside of a slight drop off in libido. I don't really get acne, I don't get gynecomastia. I don't really get problems around downstairs. So I'm pretty happy with that, again. And if we continue to move along, fasting glucose 3.8, which was expected at the end of a deficit. My lipids, quite good. Obviously, mastron can skew lipids, but HDL down 0.1 to 0.2 is probably the only real problem I have there. But admittedly, with my lipids, I very rarely am actually impacted in that department, no matter what I've used in the past. So if I've gone quite high on anabolic usage, which has been quite some time, so I've been on a cruise or modified cruise since February of 2023, they still sit around there. I think the lowest I've seen my HDL was around 0.8, 0.9 on Primobolan at some point, so that's obviously quite handy there. And then reactive protein, nice and low, 0.2, And then the hematology also in good nick. Obviously haven't done a blood dump for some time. Well, no, obviously I haven't done a blood dump for some time, was donating regularly due to my elevations in ferritin. But that has actually improved, which was a little bit of a surprise to me, but nonetheless, pretty happy here. So last Tuesday marked the beginning of our next push. Unfortunately, I'm not going to disclose how we're going to go about that from a supplementation perspective, because I don't want a little bit of monkey see, monkey do. I kind of just, if you want to know, reach out. But I'm looking forward to the next 20 to 22 weeks, which should be great. Looking to build as much as we possibly can before we pull back a little bit for 8 to 10 after that, as we are preparing to compete in season C 2025. So I'll likely do a qualifier locally in Australia, wherever I am living in the time, whether that be Melbourne or Brisbane or the Gold Coast. And then once we have done that, we will likely head overseas. I will try to make sure these shows don't clash with clients, so I can't really guarantee what I'll be doing, but that is my plan at this point. If you have any questions about anything I posted here, do not hesitate in reaching out. Have a good day.